1979, a young girl aged 9 named Tertia was living in poverty and in a verbally and physically abusive home. When she turned 17, she left home hoping for a better life. She fell in love with a man who promised her marriage, and she went with him. Almost instantly, he took her almost 30 hours out of town with the promise of marriage. When they arrived to their destination, she realized that there were many more women there along with men. She was being tricked into a slavery. It was here that her fiancé had started to mistreat her and was forbidding her from talking to any of the other women there. Her fiancé gave her some makeup, handbags, but not out of love. She realized that he had 4 other women with her, and that she was going to be a slave. Soon after this, she became pregnant, and after 3 years, she had given birth to 3 kids, whom she was not allowed to speak to. She had been blackmailed. After this, she realized that there was no escape from this, as the police were bribed, so there was no one else to turn to. When did this happen? India? Thailand? No, this happened in the United States. Human trafficking is not only a problem in third world countries, but it is also a problem in many wealthier countries. I have entitled my speech today, Set the Captives Free, because that is what I feel God would have us do. All humans have been created in the image of God, God clearly states in His Word. God pursues justice, and I believe we were called to follow this example. The good news is that there is something that we as a church can do to help people like Tertia and others who have suffered this awful crime. The first argument I would like to make is how we are all made in the image of God, and that none of us should be taken for granted. I believe that no one is a commodity that can be used and abused by others. The facts I have gathered for this include Genesis 1:27, where the Bible says that mankind was made in the image of God. There are many examples of negative impacts when society forgets that we are made in God's image, such as justification for murder, abortion, and human trafficking. The more the church champions the truth of Genesis 1:27, the more likely people will be to speak out against these crimes. Human trafficking is a horrific effect on victims who often receive emotional and physical abuse. This also damages the safety and security of the whole world. A suggestion of how to improve the situation is for the church to become more vocal about the value of human life and the evils of human trafficking. One of the positive results of society becoming more aware of these issues is that people, including politicians, may then be more likely to do something about the problem. Secondly, according to the Bible, more specifically 1 Timothy 1:10, human trafficking is a sin. Some people say that the Bible condones slavery. If you've ever heard this kind of thing, they may not be interested in joining the church or becoming a Christian. A way of improving this situation is to demolish strongholds, 2 Corinthians 10:3-5. If my point of view is accepted, a positive result would be winning people over to the truth. Thirdly, the Bible says we must love people and pursue justice. Hosea 12:6. It is unjust to force people into child labor, combat, and marriage. While the church preaches the gospel, we should not neglect to cry out for justice. The church needs to be reminded that God cares about justice. The more active the church becomes in seeking justice, the more change we may begin to see in society. Finally, the church can do something to help set the captives free. There are organizations that help fight against human trafficking. FAAST is a Christian organization that fights against human trafficking. FAAST provides information for churches, showing us how we can help prevent such horrific acts from happening on people around the country. The church can help those organizations who fight against human trafficking by offering financial support. I feel like we need to make people more aware of this horrible act people are committing. The Bible states in multiple ways how much of a sin human trafficking is. It is also unfair how people are snatched from their homes and their families. Can you imagine if it was your daughter or your sister who was taken for human trafficking? A sad consequence for not taking action could be that people won't take any notice of such crimes, and no one will do anything to help set the captives free.